What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Tunnel Vision, and we are back. We are back for another one. Yo, man. So I guess it's finally official. Your boy Terrence Crawford is taking on Mean Machine. What's his name? Uglius Cleanliness? Uglius Cleanliness? Or Uglius something. Whatever the fuck his name is. It's so bad that on the flyer they don't even have his name. This guy is so unknown. On the flyer they put Terrence Crawford versus Mean Machine. They didn't even put up his name. They put up what everybody's been calling him for months. Mean Machine instead. Not even like Uglius Cleanliness in little letters and Mean. Nah, Mean Machine. It's Terrence Crawford versus Mean Machine. And if everybody's like, oh, Earl Spence is ducking him, and you should be setting up a fight with him, and this and that. Yeah, and like I said before, that in a previous video, they already had the fight set up. It wasn't announced, but they had everything all already set up, ready to go, as far as his bout was concerned. And I said also before, it didn't matter that if Earl Spence and Danny Garcia were fighting in January, it's just a couple of weeks after that fight, so it wouldn't affect that anyway. It was a good thing at that time because it was keeping Earl Spence active, and Earl Spence, his weight gets up and his weight gets up there. So, but obviously we know about the car accident and things like that, so he ain't gonna be fighting anytime soon, probably. But regardless, they finally made it official. And what do I think about the fight? Man, I have to say it's a terrible fight. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about it. And people could, try to say it's mandatory or whatever, but the mandatory wasn't called. He didn't have to take this fight. He could have went another route. He could have tied, I think a perfect fight for him would have been to take on like a Ugas. And let's be real, it's the WBO, man. That man is not going to have to take he's not going to have to do a mandatory unless Bob Arum wants him to do a mandatory. But Bob Arum controls everything that pertains to the WBO. So what he says goes. So, but anyway, regardless though, he didn't have to do it mandatory right now at all, whatsoever. Either way, regardless. But this is the fight that they chose. It's a terrible fight, man. So on December 14th, it's at Madison Square Garden. The co-main event, that's the fight. The co-main event is Teofimo Lopez. It's going for that IBF strap versus Comey. And man, we gonna see this boy for real or not? Because Comey ain't no joke. Comey about that life. You know what I mean? So, does anything fake about this boy? It's gonna be brought out of him that night. So I'm looking forward to that fight on the card. I'm definitely looking forward to that fight on the card. That fight is gonna be, that's gonna be something. Something to look forward to. I'm hyped up about that fight because I want to see if this kid is for real, because now he's about to face some real competition. But as far as the main event, I guess you could say one of those lackluster main events. It's like, all right, man, you're facing your mandatory, okay. You're doing a little filler fight, okay. But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't move the needle at all. It doesn't do anything for his career. It doesn't do anything for his resume. It doesn't do anything for his status. And they're gonna have to start, making some real fights. They're gonna have to start putting up that money to do some real fights, especially if they want him to stay at, at ESPN. If they don't want to put up the money, if they don't want Bob Arum doesn't want to put up the money, request for other parties to put up the bread. Request for them to do it. Let Fox put him up against somebody on PBC. Maybe they'll be willing to give him some money. Let's offer you $5 million to come over. Let's do that. Let's do a 50-50 deal with Danny Garcia. Since PBC's going to be doing all the promoting and everything to whatever, do that. Do something like that. Either that or Bob Arum's going to have to start putting up that money, man. He's going to have to start putting up that money for these fights. Because Terrence Crawford is just, his light is just, it's just dimming more and more every day, man. More and more every day. And for somebody with the level of talent that he has, what he's capable of doing is just, it's It's not good. And there's this weird narrative. I mean, when it comes to certain fans, those, that ride with him, it's more like, oh, well, he wants Earl Spence. He wants Earl Spence. You know what I'm saying? And that's the fight that he's winning. He doesn't care about anything else. All he cares about is Earl Spence. Well, he's not sitting around just waiting for Earl Spence. That's number one. And if he can't get Earl Spence, which obviously now clearly he's not going to be able to for a little bit, why wouldn't you want to see him fight against top tier competition? Earl Spence can have that same philosophy. Earl Spence can be like, yo, Manny Pacquiao's the biggest fight of my career. Manny Pacquiao's $1 million+ pay-per-view. Manny Pacquiao is the biggest payday I can get in my life. And it's a unification. I'm going to wait for that fight. What if he did that? What if he said, I'm going to wait for that fight, and I'm not going to take any kind of major risks? I'm going to take on a Omar Figueroa. I'm going to take on a Molina. I'm going to take on a Lipinets. I'm going to take on those guys, and I'm going to wait for that Manny Pacquiao fight, because that's the big fight, because that's the guy with the best resume at 147 pounds. When besides me, that's the guy with the biggest win at 147 pounds. The man who beat the longest, reigning welterweight champion in Keith Thurman. I'm waiting for that fight. He could do that. But he's not. He took on a Sean Porter on a unification bout. After that, he was going to take on a Danny Garcia. Another tough fight for him. And after that fight, if he couldn't get a Manny, if he couldn't get a Terrence Crawford, I'm thinking he probably would have taken on probably a Ugas. So, he would have still taken on hard fights. They always talk about this, Earl Spence taking the easy route. Nah, man, he's the one that's taking on all the hard fights. He's the one taking on the fights where you don't necessarily know who's going to win. Even if you favor him, you can't be 100% sure he's going to win that fight. Think about it. Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, if that fight had went through, versus what? Mean Machine, Amir Khan, Benavidez. You tell me. Terrence Crawford is extremely skilled. He's a great fighter. And after this fight, man, he's gonna have to step it up. Bob Arum's going to have to put up that money. Sean Porter's willing to fight him. He's going to have to do that Sean Porter fight. You're going to have to. We know Sean Porter brings in money. They did almost 17,000 people at the Staples Center. Did great at the gate. Sold out with the merchandise. And on top of that, they did what? Over 400,000 pay-per-views looking at right now? 400,000. It's tracking at over 400,000 actually right now. Because they still count. So you can't say he doesn't sell, and he didn't lose any kind of, momentum whatsoever from that fight. Some people think he even won that fight. So a Terrence Crawford facing him would be a great fight. That's what they used to do with Manny Pacquiao a lot of times. Somebody would fight Floyd Mayweather. They have a fight in between, then they fight Manny Pacquiao. So hey, man, it fits with the Top Rank formula, right? But homeboy is gonna have to face somebody, man. The second he said that, his team said that they didn't want that Sean Porter fight, and after they made it clear that they weren't going to make any real financial offers to fight any of these guys besides Earl Spence, at that point, that whole team lost any kind of credibility. That whole, they don't want to fight me and this and that kind of went out the window because it made things very, very clear about what was going on. So, the 14th, man, Mean Machine, man. We got Terrence Crawford versus Mean Machine. And I don't know. After that fight, like 50 Cent says, you gotta do something, baby.